All right, so imagine this. You're at the top of your game, you've just won a Super Bowl, and then you're on the hunt for a new team practically every year. Sounds kind of chaotic, right? That's Odell Beckham Jr.'s life in the NFL right now. Today, we're diving into an article from CBS Sports that breaks down where OBJ might land after leaving the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, it's a fascinating situation. We're talking about a player who's reached the pinnacle of the sport, but can't seem to find a stable home. It really makes you think about the cutthroat nature of the NFL and how even a Super Bowl ring doesn't guarantee you a spot on the roster.
It's crazy, right? 3 different teams in the past 3 seasons. What's going on here? Let's start with a quick recap of OBJ's journey. He won that Super Bowl with the Rams back in 2021, spent some time with the Cleveland Browns before that, and most recently played for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, his time with the Ravens was a bit of a mixed bag. He showed flashes of his old brilliance, finished the season with 35 catches for 565 yards and 3 touchdowns. But it wasn't the dominant performance many expected.
Right, and then he signs a 1-year deal with the Miami Dolphins, starts on the injured list, and when he finally gets on the field, his role is limited. We're talking just 9 catches for 55 yards in 3 games. Not exactly superstar stats.
No, not at all. And that has to be frustrating for a player of OBJ's caliber.
Yeah.
To go from winning a Super Bowl to fighting for playing time, that's got to be a tough pill to swallow.
Absolutely. So it's no surprise he's on the move again. The CBS article highlights 4 potential landing spots: the Baltimore Ravens, the Los Angeles Rams, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and get this, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Wow. Each team is in a different position strategically speaking. Some are desperate for help at the receiver position, while others are already contenders, looking for that extra edge to push them over the top.
Right. It's a real mix. Let's start with the Ravens. They already traded for Deontay Johnson, but he hasn't exactly lived up to expectations, to put it mildly. He was barely contributing before getting suspended.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Now, you might remember that Beckham actually played for the Ravens last season, so he's already familiar with their system. That could be a huge plus, especially for a team that needs to make a playoff push. But then again, his stats weren't exactly eye-popping during his first stint in Baltimore.
Yeah, it's a tough one. So familiarity might make the Ravens appealing. But the Rams offer OBJ a chance to recapture past glory. They're the team he won a Super Bowl with back in 2021.
Right, and he has a strong relationship with their head coach, Sean McVay. But the Rams already have a star-studded receiving core: Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Would there even be room for OBJ to make a significant impact?
That's a good point. But remember, OBJ played a crucial role in their Super Bowl run. Maybe they're thinking, hey, let's bring back the magic.
Yeah, maybe. It's not impossible. The Rams, like the Ravens, are in a tight playoff race. Adding a proven veteran like Beckham could be tempting, even if it means adjusting their offensive strategy.
For sure. Now, here's where things get interesting. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they've been aggressively pursuing a top receiver all season, but haven't landed that big fish yet.
Really? Well, their need at receiver is even more pronounced now that George Pickens is out with an injury, and they're currently leading the AFC North, with the Ravens right on their heels. Adding a player like OBJ could be the move. That solidifies their lead and gives them a legitimate shot at a Super Bowl run.
And for OBJ, the Steelers could offer him something he hasn't had in a while, the chance to be the primary target. That might be exactly what he's looking for at this stage in his career.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. But then we have the Kansas City Chiefs. They're already stacked at receiver. They've got DeAndre Hopkins, and they're expecting Kadarius Toney back soon. Adding OBJ to that mix would be, well, almost overkill.
I know, right? They already have a potent offense, but hey, why not? They're going for a 3rd straight Super Bowl win. Every advantage counts.
Exactly. It would be a statement move, showcasing their commitment to dominance. And for OBJ playing with Patrick Mahomes, who wouldn't want that? Another shot at a Super Bowl ring has to be appealing.
Yeah, that's got to be tempting. So we've got these 4 teams, all with different needs and motivations. It's almost like a chess game, figuring out where OBJ fits best and how his decision might impact the entire league.
You hit the nail on the head. This isn't just about OBJ finding a team. It's about these teams' playoff chances, their offensive strategies, and how they view OBJ's role within their system.
So many moving parts. And let's not forget about OBJ's own motivations. Is he prioritizing playing time, a shot at another championship, or maybe he wants to prove something to himself and the rest of the league?
It's definitely a complex equation with a lot of variables. But one thing's for sure, OBJ's decision will have ripple effects across the NFL landscape. Think about it this way. The Steelers are leading that AFC North, but the Ravens are right behind them. If OBJ goes to Pittsburgh and helps them secure the division, that changes the entire playoff picture.
Huge implications. And for the Ravens, bringing OBJ back could be their Hail Mary. a last-ditch effort to salvage their receiver situation and make a playoff run. The stakes are high, and OBJ holds some of the cards.
He does. Now, the CBS article focuses on these 4 teams, but I'm curious, what about a dark horse candidate? A team that comes out of nowhere and snags OBJ?
That's a great question. It's easy to get tunnel vision when you've got a list of frontrunners. But the NFL is full of surprises. There could be a team out there that sees OBJ as the missing piece of their puzzle.
Absolutely. Imagine a team with a young quarterback who needs a veteran presence to elevate their passing game, or a team that's been hit with unexpected injuries and is desperate for a receiver of OBJ's caliber.
Yeah, it's almost like teams are playing chess, constantly evaluating their rosters, looking at their opponents, and trying to predict what moves will give them an edge.
Exactly. You've got to consider not just individual talent, but how all the pieces fit together, the coaching strategies,
Yeah.
and the overall team dynamics. And a move like signing OBJ could trigger a chain reaction across the league.
It really could. So for you listening, this isn't just about following OBJ's journey. It's about understanding how the NFL works. You start to see the factors behind player movement, the strategic thinking, the calculated risks. You can even start to predict future moves.
It's true. That's the beauty of diving deeper into a topic. You start to see the patterns, the motivations, and the potential consequences of each decision.
Exactly. So based on what we've discussed, any gut feelings about where OBJ might end up? Any hints you can give our listener?
Well, if I had to put my money on it, I'd keep a close eye on the Steelers. Their need at receiver is urgent. They're clearly in win-now mode.
Yeah.
And they've shown they're willing to go after big-name players.
Interesting. So Steelers are your front runner, but you're not ruling out a dark horse, right?
Absolutely not. The NFL is full of surprises, and OBJ's career has been anything but predictable.
That's for sure. That's what I love about these deep dives. We start with one article, and it unlocks a whole world of possibilities.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's not just about the facts. It's about understanding the connections, the implications, the what-ifs.
Love it. So while we wait to see where OBJ lands, I want you to think about those dark horse candidates. Which teams have a glaring need at receiver? Who might be looking to make a big splash and shake things up?
Good questions to ask.
Yeah.
And more importantly, which team would be the best fit for OBJ, both in terms of their offensive scheme and what they can offer him personally? It's a complex decision with a lot riding on it.
It is. It's like a puzzle waiting to be solved.
Maybe you listening will be the one to crack the code before the news breaks.
That'd be pretty cool. All right, now that we've explored the 4 main contenders, let's shift gears a bit. The article mentions the Ravens and Steelers battling it out for the AFC North title. But what about other divisions? Are there any teams flying under the radar that might make a play for OBJ?
Oh yeah, that's a great point. We've been focused on the immediate playoff picture,
Mm-hmm.
but there are teams outside of that race who might see value in signing OBJ.
For sure. Think about it. A team might be looking to evaluate him for next season. They could offer him playing time, the chance to showcase his skills, and maybe even a more lucrative contract down the road.
Right. Or maybe a team wants to send a message. Hey, we're serious about building a contender.
Yeah.
We're not afraid to invest in top talent. Even if they're not in the playoff hunt this year, they're laying the groundwork for the future.
Yeah, and for OBJ, that could be appealing. It's a chance to regain some stability, prove his doubters wrong, and set himself up for success in the long term.
Absolutely. It's all about weighing his options right. Short-term gain versus long-term stability. The allure of a championship run versus the opportunity to be a key player in a rebuilding phase.
So many factors. Okay, so we're broadening our scope a bit. We've got these 4 front runners, the Ravens, Rams, Steelers, and Chiefs. They're all vying for OBJ's talent for different reasons. But then we've got those under-the-radar teams, the ones looking to make a strategic move, even if it doesn't translate to immediate playoff success.
Yeah, you've got it. It's like layers of strategy unfolding simultaneously.
Really is. And all of this stems from one article about OBJ's next move. It's amazing how much we can uncover when we take a deep dive.
It's true. It's the power of informed speculation, I guess. We're taking the information we have, analyzing it from multiple angles, and drawing our own conclusions.
Right. But you've got to be careful, right? Speculation can easily turn into wild theories. We need to stay grounded in the facts.
Oh, of course. It's all about finding that balance. Between informed speculation and responsible analysis, we're not trying to predict the future with absolute certainty. We're exploring the possibilities and considering the potential outcomes.
That's the key. So for our listener, the takeaway here is don't just accept the headlines at face value. Dig a little deeper. Ask yourself why. Consider the motivations, the strategies, the potential consequences.
Yeah, all good advice. And most importantly, don't be afraid to form your own opinions. Engage with the information. challenge the assumptions, and see where it takes you.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like we've uncovered this whole hidden world beneath the surface of the NFL.
It really is. And the best part is this is just the beginning. As we get closer to the trade deadline, things are going to heat up. New rumors will emerge, injuries will shift the landscape, and teams will make those last-minute moves to bolster their rosters.
So much to keep track of. But that's what makes the NFL so exciting, right? It's a constant game of strategy, adaptation, and calculated risk.
Exactly. And while we might not have all the answers right now, we've equipped you with the knowledge and the critical thinking skills to follow along, to make your own assessments, and to maybe even predict what happens next.
That's what we hope for. All right, so before we wrap up, let's give our listener one final thought to chew on. We've talked about the four main contenders for OBJ's talents: the Ravens, Rams, Steelers, and Chiefs. We've also considered those under-the-radar teams that might be looking to make a strategic move. But what about the X factor?
The X factor.
You know, that unpredictable element? That throws a wrench into all our careful analysis. What if OBJ decides to prioritize something completely different? What if he wants to play in a specific city? Or reunite with a former teammate? Or maybe even take a break from the NFL altogether?
Oh, wow. That's a fascinating point. We've been so focused on the strategic and competitive aspects of this situation that we haven't really considered OBJ's personal motivations.
Right. At the end of the day, he's a human being with his own desires and priorities. He might choose a path that doesn't make sense from a purely strategic perspective, but it makes perfect sense for him personally.
Exactly. And that's a good reminder for all of us. We can analyze the data, weigh the pros and cons, and make informed predictions. But ultimately, human behavior is often unpredictable. There's always an element of surprise.
That's for sure. So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's acknowledge the limitations of our knowledge. We can't know for certain what OBJ will do next or how this whole situation will unfold.
That's right. But that's part of the fun, isn't it? We're engaging with the information, exploring the possibilities, and enjoying the ride.
And that's what makes the NFL so captivating. It's a complex, ever-changing landscape, full of surprises, twists, and turns.
Exactly. So keep your eyes peeled and your mind open. The OBJ saga is far from over. And we'll be here to help you navigate the next chapter.
We will. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep on diving deep.